You there? I'll go out and come back in and see if that fixes it.
Okay, I'm here. Let me see if I can bring Randy in. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me now. Okay, the problem that I have to do is let me make one other change because I should not be hearing it through these speakers. It should be set so that I hear it through these, which I never do. Okay, there. Yeah, I'm hearing it now. Okay, anyway, I don't know. Anyway, it's Friday morning. We're here, Randy Rhodes and I. As I said, it's Red Friday morning. We take a moment at the beginning to salute the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, both here in the United States and around the world, taking care of our interests around the world and our allies and keeping a watchful eye over here in the United States. And we wear red to show our salute. And anything about Red Friday you want to say, Randy?
We're always here. This thought just occurred to me. We're always here talking about, uh, in general, about the military and to support the military. I think it'd be cool if I'm not sure who all is watching, but if anyone is watching who has or had a family member that was in the military, if they could in the comments, give a brief, shout out, to their relative and what branch they were in. For an example, my father spent 22 years in the United States Air Force. When uh, he was in the Air Force. I was saying the other day with William Lockett, and he was stationed in Alaska. I forget the name of the town, but I'll get it later for a different show. But that I'll do on my own. But he was based in Alaska, and my mom, who no one knew at the time, was a relative of my dad. She was a second cousin. And her mom said, "Wouldn't it be nice, Maybell, if you would write to your cousin Ronald, who's in the Air Force? I'm sure he would love to hear from home, right?" So she started writing
Mm-hmm.
to him, and he wrote back, and they went on and off for the time period that he was stationed in Alaska. And he actually proposed to her for marriage through a letter, and promised to marry her when he came back for not vacation but for time off, in between stations. So when he came home to Pine Grove, the woman in his head that he thought he was proposing to wasn't my mom, it was her sister. So when he arrived home, he ran
Okay.
up to her sister, gave her his big hug and kiss, and said, "Let's go get married." And she, "Oh, no, 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 you didn't propose to me. You proposed to
Okay.
my sister, Maybell." So they
Okay.
got married, but at the time, um, her father, who owned a very large farm, offered my dad a chunk of his land if he would leave the Air Force and stay and till the land. And my father's love was with the United States Air Force. He loved what it stood for. He loved to the fact that he was, doing his part to keep America safe from harm from our enemies. And for the next 22 years, he got shipped everywhere. He went to the Congo War, which I didn't know he had. He brought home some really neat souvenirs. He went to Vietnam, where he did 2 tours, which you know, and that's where he was exposed to Agent Orange. Like I think Jerry said he was. Um, so my father was exposed to Agent Orange, and that's what caused him to have cancer and eventually die. But we always, Dave, we always talk generalizing about the military and red shirt. I just think it'd be neat if whoever's watching or whatever, just give a shout out to a family member who served in the military and give them also the credos that they are deserving, along with all the other people in our nation.
Always a very good idea. We originally had Bill Muckler, who was a retired Marine captain, uh, and the person behind us launching Red Friday Morning Caffeine. We always had Bill on, and Bill would always speak about the Marines, but there are other branches of the military out there. So, as Randy said, if you are in the military and you can't speak or speak in general terms without getting yourself in trouble about being in the military, you're more than welcome to come on and join us. And if you want to give a shout out to your relatives who are in the military and may be able to watch uh, in the live chat, please go ahead and do that. Uh, and while we're waiting to see if that happens, we'll move along to today's testimony in the form of all kinds of news.
I
Dodge.
know, I know. Jerry's in the background. If you want to bring him on, you could, I guess. It's up to you.
Okay. Jerry, if you're watching and you can come on, you are more than welcome to come on. Otherwise, we're just going to.
So, as far as the military, let's give out a prayer to the men and women who are going to be sent into the conflict in South Africa. Trump intends on getting involved with that to bring peace to the people who are being butchered in the name of independence, I guess, or whatever. But he is supporting the government that's in place, and he has promised to intervene with our military personnel.
Okay, we can do that, and as I said, we can do our normal salute to everyone who is anywhere as well.
Yep.
And then, as I said, we move into the normal things we talk about on a broadcast. Dodge has had a very active week, doing a lot of things. There were some court injunctions banning them from doing some things that they've done, which is going in and having access to computer systems and records that they may not necessarily be allowed to have, not going through the normal congressional oversights that allow Congress to have it. And I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just saying that seems to be on everybody's mind this week. Did we do things the right way, or did we just go in and do things the way things needed to be done? And I'm not laying judgment either way. I really wish that we would get people in the live chat, perhaps even on the broadcast, that have a feeling one way or another. It is necessary to do a massive clean out of certain government computer agencies and make sure that money is not going to where it has been going, but at the same time, make people who rely on government checks being sent to other government agencies as well as being sent to themselves every month to support themselves. Some people are angry that unauthorized people have access to all that. I don't know really where I stand on the whole thing. I believe that it is necessary to do a government clean out. It is necessary to go in and look at what government agencies are doing. But when it comes down to a question of do you need a clearance to do certain things, then should you have that? And if you don't, uh, what do you do? Do we have to have some members of Dodge that are senators and representatives and who have access to that information, and then go from there? Then other side of the equation, as we talked last night, there are some funny things that kind of happened. The commandant of the Coast Guard,
Yeah.
who was the first woman commandant of the Coast Guard, was removed from her post by President Trump because she's too DEI, and that was necessary to do. I don't know for sure if it was necessary to do. I think you give her a chance to either uh, remove and go back to the way it was before DEI was brought into the military by the Biden administration, and you see whether or not she can do that. And if she can't do that, well, then yeah, you get rid of her. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure how I think on a lot of things that have happened, only because it just seems that Dodge is running around allowed to do anything they want to do, however they want to do it, and not necessarily the way we have given oversight of the government to the three branches of the government to protect us from any one branch of the government overstepping and doing things that they're not supposed to do. Do I think, again, do I think that Dodge serves a purpose? Yes. But, you know, you have a right to maybe go in, you have a right to look at government records, but do we need to be, you have a right to, as you're going to stop certain programs or ask the president to stop certain programs, and then whether or not the president has to go to Congress and ask Congress to stop funding certain things. That's all I'm saying. It just I had a bad dream where people went in and got access to a whole bunch of things that they were looking for, as well as a whole bunch of other things that they weren't looking for. And in the course of the dream, Medicare stopped. In the course of the dream, Social Security stopped. And it wasn't just Social Security stopped and said, "Hey, here's all the money we owe you for what we think is going to be as long as you're going to live." It was just, "Hey, uh, we're not going to get any more money to fund it." Medicare, the same thing. We're not going to get any more money to fund it. The federal government help with Medicaid, we're not going to get any more funding to help it. And in those things, no one is saying what is going to happen. What are the alternatives? Because the alternative to making sure you get your Social Security check every month, or you get your Medicare and Medicaid paid, is not necessarily waiting for a sovereign wealth fund to be created and then being told every so often you get a check and you can do whatever you want with that check. I have doctors that want to be paid and don't want to wait, however long it would be for me to get a sovereign wealth fund check that would allow me to pay for things that I have. And that's where I am.
I heard you
That's
guys
where I
talking
am.
about that sovereign fund thing. What is that? I don't.
Evidently, it is, the way I understand it, is if we found money that the United States government was doing things that the United States government shouldn't do, or giving money where the United States government shouldn't be giving money, is that money would be moved into something called a sovereign wealth fund. And I guess in theory, the IRS would be gone because they wouldn't be collecting taxes anymore. Or maybe they would, something would still be collecting some kind of taxes because the government has to have some money. But what is left over, what they don't use, goes into a fund, and it is divided up among the American citizens, the tax-paying American citizens. I don't understand a lot of the whole thing because, like I said yesterday, part of what President Trump is saying, then the sovereign wealth fund could decide to buy TikTok, and again, it's a mixed issue. Some people say, well, hey, yeah, that's a great way to do it, but if we as the American citizens all of a sudden own a social media network, what is to stop us from saying we're going to operate it the same way Facebook does? No, I just think that's not a great way to do it. If you want to get your check from the sovereign wealth fund and put it together with other people who get their check, and you want to buy shares of TikTok and have a say in how TikTok runs, go do it. Because a lot of us don't want to do that. A lot of us don't want to fund any more social media than our taxes may be funding. And personally, I don't think our taxes should be funding any social media. No one should be giving. The government should not be giving money to Facebook. The government should not be giving money to X. The government should not be giving money to. I can sit here and name a whole bunch of them all day long. They may or may not be getting money. But my point is that the government should not be giving money, even if the American citizens want them to do that, to a private industry that obviously doesn't need government funding. Facebook is doing, hundreds of billions of dollars every year in ad revenue. They don't need us to be giving them any kind of subsidy. It should be the same thing with TikTok. The deal was that President Trump said that a American company, a United States company headquartered in the United States, has to buy at least 50% of TikTok or it's going to be turned off. So that tells me that, people get your money together and buy 50% of TikTok from ByteDance. And if you can't, then, it's going to be shut down because, no one's going to step forward and do it. That's just my thing. If we were going to do it along the lines of PBS, where some of our tax money went to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which again raised money to operate itself, as well as got some money from the federal government and provided a commercial-free TV network where people could watch all kinds of programming that may not be on the traditional network programs, then maybe that's great. But just saying that free speech will be allowed on TikTok and that's why we should fund it isn't a valid point to me. Elon Musk didn't ask the taxpayers to get involved in buying X. Mark Zuckerberg didn't ask the taxpayers to get involved in funding Facebook and funding the acquisition of the other networks within Facebook. To me, it doesn't have anything to do with things that people should be involved in funding. Daryl Rector makes a comment that let me see if it showed up over here. So no, for some reason, some comments do not make it over to my live screen, so I have to do my best to read this. It's the same thing Alaska does on a state level, would be on a federal level, and overflow money from American operations or dead products funded back to all who paid. Yeah, but in the case of TikTok, we're taking a private industry, a private company that should be able to support itself the same way all the others do, and and not need the taxpayers to kick in and do it. companies that drill for oil, yeah, companies go out and drill for oil and they sell the oil. I don't know if they're selling the oil to the state of Alaska government or how. I don't really know because I don't understand how it works. William Lockett, when he's on, can explain it in a greater detail. But yeah, if something like that, I can see companies going out and drilling oil, electric utilities. If they can, if they can bring their if if they can bring the cost of their operations down, and there's money that's left over,
Oh,
then yeah, maybe some of the money goes to the ratepayers who pay the electric. Some of the money goes, you know, comes back from oil. Uh, but I just don't see the need for the federal government to to put a fund together that allows taxpayers to buy something that you know not all the tax. What happens if I don't want my portion of the sovereign wealth fund to fund buying TikTok? What happens if other people don't want it? Those that want to fund it with their portion, yeah, they got a right to step up and invest in it if they want to. But you can't force every American citizen who's going to get money back out of a sovereign wealth fund to have to pay for something that they may not want. Plus, there's a lot of people out there that don't use social media, so why should their portion of the fund have to go to buying something that they don't necessarily need? Once you have TikTok being a publicly traded company owned by all of the American citizens, that means all of the American citizens are going to have a say. What if people wanted to go back draconian, dark ages, deep state, like X was when it was Twitter? It just opens cans of worms that I don't think is a necessary part. It doesn't even deserve the amount of ramble that it just got from me in the last
yeah, do I get a chance
the
to
last
talk
few
here?
minutes. Yeah, you get a chance to talk.
Okay, so look, while you're doing your preamble here, I was going through the news feed and saw some things that are very disturbing. Um, it
Okay.
seems that, I mean, President Trump is trying to make this country better. And I don't know why or how, but the Democrats are fighting him tooth and nail. They're bringing in judges and lawyers and stuff, and they're putting the clamps on what the president is allowed to do. For an example, with Elon Musk, Elon Musk was hired to find the wastage of our government spending, and he so far has found so much money being spent on stupid stuff. And now a judge has put a stop to his having access to the records so he can see what money's being spent. And now Trump and he are at odds,
They
and
didn't.
he appears to be
They
firing
didn't.
Elon Musk.
They didn't. They didn't put a stop to Dodge having access to records. What they said was there were two people at Dodge who were who could get the clearances if they don't have them or may already have them, that those two people would be given read only access. And that pretty much really is all they need, other than they couldn't stop anyone at any of those organizations from removing anything that they don't eventually want Dodge to see. But there is a big conflict of interest in the sense that Elon Musk is the wealthiest man in the world, uh, and owns X and owns SpaceX and owns other companies that having that information could give him an upper hand. And I'm just saying that because that's
Well,
what
okay,
people
okay,
are
well,
telling me. They allowed they gave they gave the two people read access only so that they can go in and read it and be able to do their jobs. I guess writing the reports that go to Musk, that eventually go to Trump, that before anything is going to be cut, has to go to Congress because a lot of it isn't just stuff that President Trump can write an executive order and say, okay, we're not going to pay anymore.
okay, so what I'm seeing here it says that a lawsuit alleges unlawful access to sensitive financial data from the
Right.
Treasury Department. Musk's Dodge was temporarily barred from obtaining the payment records, marking a critical development in the ongoing legal battle. The situation highlights growing tensions between the Trump administration and Musk initiatives to curb government waste. The decision comes as the Justice Department takes action in response to accusations of privacy violations. They don't want people to find out who's spending money. That's
Well,
what it boils
no,
down
no.
to.
Okay, listen, our Justice Department, Pam Bondi, who is a Republican, doing her job as Attorney General, said that you don't have clearance, you don't have access to some of the information that you need. You don't have access to it. The government has access to it through the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and or whatever. But his job, and I'm not discounting what he does, his job was to go find where there is a lot of money that's not being used the way it was supposed to be used and cut that money out. It wasn't his job to go in there and go through every Treasury record and make sure whether or not every record in the Treasury, your Social Security record, your taxpayer record, your this, your that, it's not his job to go through and access each individual record to determine where whether or not you're illegally getting something. And that is a violation of privacy. He doesn't need, you know, he can make an accusation that, hey, Social Security is spending $100 gazillion a year more than they need to. Then the responsibility becomes going to his representative or his senator and say, you bring it up on the Senate floor or the House floor and get it sent to a committee. And that committee, which has the clearance, can do all kinds of hearings and then decide yes or no. And the embarrassing thing for it is that it's going to show that a lot of people, and it's a lot of people on both sides, it's not just Democrats. Democrats' heads are exploding because they're going to get caught doing things that they've been doing for a long time. Some Republicans' heads are kind of, well, we don't really want all of that information to go public because we've been doing the same thing for so long. So, I mean, if anything, it's going to lead to, by the time this is all said and done, it's going to lead to Jen Woodruff's goal that we have a what do you call it, of states where all the states come together and we refigure out the government and we refigure out how the government is funded. And I don't know if President Trump can just look at something that Elon Musk says and then just write an executive order that you can't do this anymore, you can't do that. And even if he can, executive orders are if a Republican doesn't win the 2028 election, any executive order from President Trump that says USAID, you can't do this, FCC, you can't do that, is going to be torn up by the next Democrat president. So what we really need to do is have him continue to do what he's doing. And he's also, I believe, even threatening some members of Congress with the possibility of being primaried, which means finding someone from the other end of the party and going to fund it. So it's kind of a threat that, if you don't play ball with me, you may not get reelected. And it shouldn't be that just because I'm the wealthiest man in the world, I'll find a candidate to run against you and I'll bankroll them and make sure they get elected. Because what if that person is guilty of the same things? This has come down to where Jerry broached it a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago. It's gotten down to the point where everybody up there is taking money, even the ones who say they aren't. Even some of the Republicans that say they aren't, that swear they aren't, even the Democrats that swear that they aren't. Everybody up there is taking money. That entire thing called the swamp is screwed up. It needs to be drained once and for all. It needs to be put back together once and for all, the right way that it is supposed to be. And it needs to happen during the Trump administration, because right now he's the president and he's the one that we brought in there to do all of this stuff. But, there are going to be people who are going to continue saying, hey, Elon, you don't need to have access to all of this stuff, or your people there can have read only access. They can't make copies of it for you. They can't do this, they can't do that. And maybe those are the people that should be talking to President Trump. President Trump can say to Elon Musk, hey, did you go look at USAID? Yes, I did. Then he says, what did you find out? Well, here's what the people at Dodge that put the reports together, here is what they did. And then President Trump should say, well, they should come and talk to me. And then President Trump needs to make a decision on what the next move is. The president doesn't approve money. Nancy Pelosi kept saying that to Joe Biden. You can't say students don't have to pay back their student loans because you don't control the money. I do as Speaker of the House. And it's the same thing now. Mike Johnson does. So it has to go through the House if you want to take money away from anybody based on a report that Elon Musk found. And even if it's taking money away from Republicans, it's taking money away from these organizations who then can decide that they want to launder it however they want through whatever project they call it. And it should only be right now money that we need to spend in the United States. USAID should be aiding the United States of America first.
Go ahead. Pausing? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, moving on. Did you hear about the plane that crashed flying from Alaska?
No, I didn't, but you can tell me. Also, William Lockett, I believe, is watching, and if William wants to come on, I will send him a link, and he can come on. Do you want to come on, William? I didn't think that William was up this early with the time difference between Florida and Alaska.
Please, come on.
So
anyways,
if William wants to come on, I will try to send him a link.
A plane with 10
Randy.
people on board. The plane just disappeared. They have like a recreated map where it shows where the plane left Alaska about halfway. You just have the map of Alaska, and about halfway in, the plane takes off from where airport. The information is very sketchy right now, but it left part of Alaska and it was flying over land, and then it got over the water there, and I just changed here. So it okay. More information now. Hold on a second. It just updated.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. According to William, it disappeared. It did show up on this screen. So, according to William, it disappeared, not crashed. And no, he's a mess right now. So, he doesn't want to join us right now, which means that hopefully we can discuss it tonight on the American Rebellion with Jerry Michaels and not worry about a host here who's gonna be very opinionated
So
and question just about
So the
everything.
plane left Unalakit, fuck, okay, Unalakleet, however you want to pronounce that, left there and was flying over Nome. And the pilot said to the control tower, "I need to enter a hold'em pattern, waiting for a landing strip," and then the plane disappeared. So they're trying
Mhm.
to find where this plane went down. They have not yet found it yet. What the hell is going on with planes? I mean, you know, Trump just
Well,
said, "Oh, it's the safest form of transportation," but ever since then, you got planes dropping out of the skies.
well, we don't know what happened to it, and as William said, it's very possible the plane flew into the Alaska
Yeah, that's
Triangle,
right. He mentioned about that on the show the other day, didn't he?
we don't know where the Alaska Triangle goes. Could it be a portal? Could it be a Stargate? Could it be that TV show Manifest was
Yeah,
kind of
I
about
love
that
that
stuff. That
show.
evidently the plane, the plane disappeared, came back. I think five
Yep.
years later. Uh, they didn't age on the plane, but everybody else had aged when they got back, and could it be? You know, could it be? Could this whole mess with Dodge finding bad money in all the different parts of the world that it shouldn't be? Could this be when the aliens say, "Hey, enough, enough, enough! Earth has done what it has. Earth has been messed up and screwed up. As long as it's going to be, we're going to come and take it over. We're going to come and just take everybody home." To whatever planets. I've always said that Earth is the prison planet where those of us that were here. I don't know if we were sent here for life or if we were sent here for a certain amount of time. It must be sent here for life. Our our relatives down the family tree got married, had children, got married, had children, got married, had children, and it must be that we're going to be here forever until we destroy this incarnation of Earth and God makes another one.
Musk had a 25-year-old person on his staff that had to resign because of someone found racist comments on his social media.
Right.
I'm sorry. Okay. Give the guy the opportunity to delete the comments because obviously he made these comments before he realized he was going to be part of something political. Let him delete the comments and move on. I mean, when you no wait, wait
Well,
when you look at how these Democrats are screaming at the top of their lungs, even now, telling their people to go out into the streets and do all kinds of god awful things against conservatives. But that's okay because they're already in office. They got their position, they got their title, they can do and say whatever they want. But this guy's 25 years old. He got hired for a
but
job he wasn't expecting, probably. So give him an opportunity to delete the
but
comments and move on.
well, no, it's not even that. It's first off, he wasn't working for the federal government when he made the comment, and he was being himself, and he made the comment. So all that needs to happen is that whoever has congressional oversight of Dodge, and somebody does, uh, calls him in for a hearing and simply says, "We understand you said this and you said it years ago, and you weren't working for the federal government in in an advisory capacity before," and ask him how he feels about it now. But then, if it was me, before they say, "Well, you need to erase it," if you feel different or you need to erase it, my response would be no. Why? Because I didn't work for you before. And there has to be unless you work for unless you work for the government in a job that your job is 24 hours a day and they own you, then maybe you have to control what you say and where you say it. But if you're not clocked in to your government job or any job and you say something on the internet, you have a right to freedom of speech when you're not
Thank you.
working. I mean,
I,
I've always said that. Back if what's his face, Colin Kaepernick, if he had been on my football team, and we met with him, I met with him after he took a knee, and I said, you can't take a knee during the football game while you're in my team's uniform and I'm paying you, because I don't want to make my football team a platform for you to do whatever you want. After the game, when you showered and you're in your clothes and you're in the bar drinking, I don't really care. Or you're someplace else and someone asks you a question and you say something, I don't really care. But when you're on the clock for me, you're on the clock for me. So this is the same kind of thing. He said something years ago, and bring him up and ask him. But then again, if it was me, I'd say, well, we find Democrats, we find Republicans every day who come before this committee, and you ask them, and they're not going to remove it. And they're going to say that, hey, it was on my time and I said it. You do have a right to freedom of speech. You don't have a right. Well, you don't have right to freedom of speech if you're not allowed to speak about the job that you have, other than just saying, hey, yeah, I work for Dodge and this is what I do. If you can't go into graphic detail about what you do and you can't speak Dodge policy because your job is just to collect data, then it's like if you go in the Army, you can't you can't just walk up to a reporter and spill your guts, because you're not allowed to talk about whatever it is you're not allowed to talk about. The Army has a spokespeople that it's their job. It's their job to talk about it. But, like I said, it's always been with me. It's because the owner of the radio station could have come in and said to me, you can't talk about that while you're here doing your show. Or the college, the college asked me to read something once, and like I said to people, I thought my mic was turned off, and I said, this is the most fucking bullshit statement that they've ever asked me to read in all the time that I have ever been here. And the only mistake was I thought my mic had been turned off when I said it. And I probably should have made sure that my mic was turned off before I said it, but I still would have said it. It wouldn't have gone out over the air. But you have a right to speak. You have a right to say that. And I'm tired of them going way back and saying, you did this, you said this way back. Because like I said, if it was me and Adam Schiff was talking to me, I would have said, Adam, you were part of the two of President Trump's House impeachments, and you said things that weren't true, that you knew weren't true. And, so why are you in the Senate now? I mean, the whole thing is just, get the whole thing about what someone said and when they said it is just to get our eyes off of what's going on. The Democrats' heads are exploding, like you said, because they're realizing, oh my God, we got caught. I'm not going to be able to
Oh
keep
wow.
getting that $10,000 envelope every week, or however it's getting into my account or whatever. I'm not going to get it anymore, and I shouldn't have been getting it anyway. You know,
Did you see about the update on the helicopter crash?
no.
Uh, a Senate briefing with the FAA and the NTSB revealed a key safety system was turned off on the U.S. Army helicopter involved in the crash.
Okay. The
That's
the
not
only,
good.
the only thing I did hear, and I don't remember who I heard it from. I think it was on an American Rebellion, and I think it was Jerry who said it. Is that evidently the helicopter was on a training flight. And my thing is that if the helicopter was on a training flight, then it had no business being in the airspace where it was. It should have been over some kind of military installation where, the risk of crashing into a commercial plane was less likely. And if it had to be done in commercial airspace over Washington D.C., then everybody should have known that it was happening. There should have been enough air traffic control people in the building looking at at scopes and making sure that this didn't happen. And the military should have been brought in to explain that, yeah, this was a drill that had to be done in the environment that it was done in, but we couldn't say anything. So, because to me, I think I would have come back and said, well, it looks like it wasn't a, you're calling it a drill, but it was an operation to do exactly what it did, and it was an illegal operation. And I don't know. Uh,
Yeah, there's
I don't. We're not going to get all of the information unless the black box transcripts are given to President Trump, and he says, "I'm going to declassify them and release them." And we don't even know if it's something that he can do. He still has said that he was going to declassify the Warren Commission report. And when you push him on it, he says, I've read it, I've seen it, and it may not be something that every American wants to see. But you know what? It should be our choice as to whether or not we decide we want to see it. You know, uh,
I don't know. I guess I have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that you know when you think about it, the president really isn't a president. He's just a man who is allowed to do certain things. And I understand there's a difference between a president, a king, and a dictator. But when you have a person who is trying his damnedest to bring sense back to his nation, to bring strength and wealth back to his people and his nation, he should be allowed to do that.
well,
But wait, but the Democrats have been in control of so many things for so long that they have gotten away with spending trillions of dollars for stupid things. And I could go down the list of things
good.
I've already heard, but all he's trying to do is get control of how the money's being spent, get back accountability to where the money's being
But
spent,
okay,
and it seems like the left doesn't want them to.
but
They don't want them finding their secrets, so they're using again the legal system to shut them down.
they are. But I think they're using the legal system to try to shut down Dodge and Elon Musk, because if President Trump hit the trifecta, he's a Republican president with a Republican majority House and a Republican majority Senate. So he could have gone to the House, to Speaker Johnson, and said, you need to look you need to look at this. It's wrong. You know it's wrong, and decide what you're going to do, and send to the Republicans in the Senate to either agree with you or not agree with you, and then you make the changes, and then you send it back, and then it gets to me, and I sign it into law, and it happens. Or we're just going to play games until the 2028 midterms, where we're going to lose the House. We're going to lose the House. We're going to lose the Senate, and it doesn't matter who the president is, unless the Democrats take it back. And the odds are that a Democrat president will do whatever they have to do to make sure they get it back. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, nobody on Capitol Hill right now wants to come clean about anything that they did as far as taking money. It doesn't matter what party they are. They just don't want to come clean. The system has been so screwed up for so long, where they've been able to get their $174,000 a year and their $17.4 million a year, or whatever portion of that they can get, under the table into their campaign funds, or somehow into their hands, to keep doing things the way that we have been doing it. And they've gotten away with it, because even when we had Democrat presidents in there, they were probably doing it. They were still probably doing it. They just rested a little easier, probably figuring that no one was watching them. And now that a Republican president with a Republican House is watching them, and then looking at money that they gave USAID that went to pay for an LGBTQ RXTUV WXYZ 1237891 play in another country. Why? Why are we paying for it? Why are we giving another country money to pay for that stuff? Even if it's a country that they can't be as open about that in the United States. We're funding things outside of the United States that we wouldn't fund. We wouldn't allow our government to fund inside the United States. And I still think that a lot of it wasn't even necessarily going to where it said it was going. I don't believe that a lot of the $176 billion, of which Zelensky claims he only got $76 billion of.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I don't buy that.
I don't want no. Why would you go public? Why would you go public if you know that the answer is you only got, this is how much you were going to, he was told how much to ask for. $176 billion. He was told how much of that he was going to get. He knew ahead of time. Why? Because the people on both sides of the aisle, because the list I saw is on both sides of the aisle, told him that if you want my vote, yes, this is what you have to do. So Facebook needs to stop fact checking it every time they take it down, claiming that it doesn't fact check, or stop telling me that I'm spamming my groups, and then tell me the reason that they took it down for spamming is that it doesn't fact check. Because my immediate response is, I thought Mark Zuckerberg said there is no more fact checking on Facebook.
No, that's bullshit.
Well, obviously that's what it is, but we're our government is screwed up, and Dodge, I guess, is how President Trump decided he was going to lower the boom on the swamp and clean it out. But I don't think, I think a lot of it was we're going to shut down the deep state, this, that, and the other stuff. It doesn't matter. If the deep state gave money to a Republican to do something, we're going to lose that Republican there. If the deep state gave money to a Democrat, the Democrats are going to lose that Democrat. Because the Republicans are going to band together and vote that Democrat out. The Democrats are going to come together and vote that Democrat out. I mean, that Republican out. It's just the whole thing is so messed up. The whole thing is just so messed up that there really isn't any reason to have hearings where one side gets to yell at the other
Wow.
about what they didn't do while they're supposed to be questioning someone who can prove that they did it. Politico is claiming that they didn't get the $8.1 million that the news reports say they got from USAID. Well, I posted on that post, the only way you're going to prove that is to have the person at USAID that input the check
So
to then show how it was cashed.
So here's an update on the plane that crashed in Philly. They still don't know why it crashed. It made it 1,600 feet up in the air before it came down. Um, they found the black box in a crater that was 8 feet deep. That gives an idea of the impact of that plane when it hit the ground. Obviously, everyone on board the plane was killed. On the ground itself, 24 people were hurt. There was a person who died. They were in their car, and they died from debris falling down on the car. 4 people remain hospitalized. Two were in critical condition. 33-year-old woman was injured in the crash, remains in a medically induced coma. She has 70% of her body is burnt from the jet fuel. Wow. Uh, Another person hospitalized is a 10-year-old who was hit in the head by a piece of metal. He actually landed on his sister, and that protected her from debris, but his head took the impact of a piece of metal from the plane, so he's in serious condition. Uh, and the others are not mentioned, but they don't know why. They don't know what happened. They don't know what happened.
Well, they'll get an idea from the
Right.
black box, I would hope. But I believe someone said that they watched. I guess I don't know if there was video on that one, but they watched. They made it sound like they watched video of the crash, and it looked like that plane
It
was
was. It
sparking from the
was.
time it
When
took
it
off
came down, it was in
to
flames
the time
already.
it crashed. Okay, so they're going to pull the FAA maintenance records for that plane, that particular plane. They're going to look at what the last thing that was done to it or needed to be done to it before the airline sent it out.
I um uh
And maybe it was so bad, God forbid it was so bad, they had to just make it look like a crash so the insurance company would
I don't
pay
know.
for it. I don't know.
It almost seemed like you have a medical plane. Obviously, they probably have oxygen tanks. You have whatever. Maybe there's a leak somewhere, and the oxygen caught on fire. I don't know, but wow, it's it just it makes you wonder
I mean,
why things go wrong when they do. When the on the normal conditions, American businesses, planes, cars, trains, whatever, normally take really good care of the maintenance and the track record of the maintenance. And, if a plane has been in the air for so long and it gets grounded and gets revamped and so forth.
Mhm.
But of course, this plane came from Mexico. So who knows? Maybe their standards are different from ours. Anyways,
I don't know.
I gotta get going. I
You
have
know,
thing. I gotta try and bring on some new clients. I lost another one,
yeah,
or at least he's gone incognito. He's not talking to me. So I need to
okay,
seriously either. At this point, I'm at a point where if I, and this is honest God's truth, if I cannot bring on some new people, will probably be shutting down. Permanently or temporarily my business because I do have expenses that I maintain with what I do, and if I don't have paying clients, then I can't pay on the things that I make use of. So I'll have to be doing some serious thinking here soon. But anyways, I gotta get going.
okay,
I got to take care of my last
all
and
right,
only paying client that I have right now. So you guys take care.
okay,
See you later.
all right, all right, Randy. Thanks for coming. Randy Rhodes, Our Roads Lead to Home Genealogy. All I can tell you, he finds what you want him to find, and he finds a whole lot more. He did make a Dave Goldman tree a couple of years ago that I think went from my grandparents or my great grandparents down to my grandparents on each side, down to my parents, down to me, and uh, and listed Donna, and I don't remember where else it went from there. Uh, and now he's going back and finding even more this time while he's rebuilding it. Yesterday, he found one of my my mother's father's sisters. And then in that article, it mentioned a cousin. And so I told him what happened to her. And I don't remember the cousin's husband's name, but he had, at one point, he had a really good job. And I mentioned to her, to Randy, that that's what he did, the job that he did. They had a son who was a top dog at Hard Rock International, which I believe is the holding company for the Hard Rock cafes and anything else that's Hard Rock. But he was there for a long time. He left. He was someplace else. I don't remember. But anyway, he'll find he'll find a whole lot of interesting things. He will even look and try to find famous links for you. He hasn't come across any quote unquote famous links in either my father's side or my mother's side, other than my great grandmother's brother, I believe. It's a gentleman named Joseph Tomars. And even though he was Jewish, he was a well known Russian opera singer uh, at the time. And you can still find some of his stuff uh, through YouTube and other places that have classical music. But that's the most uh, that's the most famous one. But to me, it's not about finding just the famous ones. It's about finding the infamous ones. It's about finding the simple ones that didn't do things that I'm interested in. But anyway, it is 11:11 on Friday the 7th of February 2025. The weekend is here. Go out there and make it a great weekend. I don't have any broadcast planned for tomorrow morning. There was a possibility that I might do one, but I don't think it's going to be available. I plan to be on the American Rebellion tonight, the Friday edition. Jerry Michaels, Nikki Young. I'm hoping Chuck Cook is someplace that he can be, uh, that he can be on, like having Chuck on. Maybe Robert Lawless will be able to join us. A whole lot of other people. I can just tell you that all you have to do is go into the American Rebellion live chat, and if you have a camera and a mic, ask Jerry for the link and tell him what you want to come on and be a part of. And I'm sure he will bring you on. Uh, just you have to wait your turn sometimes when it is your turn to talk and then talk. Not a whole lot of interrupting people anymore. I'm working really hard on not doing that. I'm still doing it a little bit, but everybody gets a chance to talk and we all have a good time. And usually we have a lot of laughs in the broadcast because, as people have said, if you can't laugh at yourself, then you really can't laugh at anybody, even though there's a whole lot to laugh about right now and a whole lot to get serious about and fix. So what I'm going to say is double V's for victory. This boogie with a bull. Red Friday morning caffeine is going to come to an end. I apologize for the technical snafu at the beginning. I do not know what happened other than maybe the new mic cord that I just got might have a short in it from the way it's being put away and taken out. Uh, Also, it looks like Tron, as I call her, might be missing an update. So I'll have to go through and look and see if there are any updates that need to come in that control audio and visual. Anyway, I'm glad that you came here. Glad that you came here. William Lockett was here. Daryl Rector was here. Randall Rhodes was there. Jerry Michaels was here. So make sure you catch the American Rebellion tonight on Facebook. If you can't find it, uh, message me and I'll send you a link or tell you where it is and or where it isn't going to be. You can also watch it on X, but I can never remember where it is because it's AmRev with a bunch of numbers after it. But if you go to X and go to search and search AmRev, it'll probably point you in the exact right direction and you can watch it over there. There is a live chat there as well. I keep hoping one of these days that live streaming will become a perfect rocket science so that if you're on uh, YouTube watching it, if you're on Facebook watching it, if you're on X watching it, all of the live chats come together and you'll be able to see everybody. Like I said, some things from Facebook never make it to the Restream Live Producer screen, and I feel bad because I can't highlight it on the screen. A lot of times I'll highlight things on the screen when people are talking and I can't get a break to go in and say something and bring more people into the conversations. That's what we try to do. Anyway, enjoy your Friday morning and pay attention to the Randy Rhodes page. There may be broadcasts from him later in the day. Go to the Michael Anthony page. There may be broadcasts from him. Keep an eye on Jerry Michaels. There might be stuff from him. Uh, my suggestion is that you listen, watch, pay attention to as many people as you can, and then you make your decision for yourself. And it may be different than all of them, it may be in line with all of them, but it's your decision and you have to make it yourself. Or you just get so confused, like I am, that you don't know what to do and you just kind of you feel about things. And hope we change the subject and go on to to something else. If you want to be a part of the Boogie with the Bull morning caffeine broadcast, 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, let me know by 9 a.m. Eastern. And if you can't do that, just come into the live chat and tell me that you want to come on. You have to have a camera, you have to have a mic. You can try it with your cell phone, but it doesn't always work right. Uh, you get a chance to see what you look like, whether or not you're using, and sound like, whether or not you're using your cell phone, or you're using your laptop, or you're using whatever. You get a chance to look at what you look like and sound like before you come into the broadcast. We do our best to pray that the internet works for everybody when we're on. So, like I said, I apologize for the beginning of the broadcast. If you heard me stressed trying to figure out why the mic that I had just tested 30 seconds before we went live all of a sudden wasn't live. Uh, so, anyway, double B's for victory. This Boogie with the Bull broadcast has come to an end. This is the part of the broadcast where I tell you you've been watching Boogie with the Bull Red Friday Morning Caffeine, a copyrighted presentation of the No Budget Broadcasting Company. Why? Because it's funnier than any other broadcast that you watch. It gets you to laugh, and laughing is good. Make sure you look for the American Rebellion tonight and come over there and continue laughing and get your weekend off to a good start laughing and being involved in discussing what is going on in politics and whatever comes out of our mouths on a lot of the broadcasts that you see. And I hope that William Lockett will be able to join us tonight. I know that he said that it is something like 5 hours behind Florida and Alaska. So I wouldn't have expected him to come on at 5 o'clock in the morning. 7 o'clock at night, I'm sure is easy for him, and we'll try to have him on Tuesday and Thursday nights as often as he wants to. And if he's ever up and around and he wants to be on the 10 a.m.s, we'll have him on them too. Anyway, go enjoy your day. The dog ate, the cat ate, the dog is sleeping, the cat's sleeping, and I'm going to go eat my breakfast and play around on Facebook a little bit more.